calling on the Titans. You go ahead, Bo.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
So, obviously, we've seen both sides of this 2 years ago and last year. Playoffs all about peaking at the right time. Do you think we are peaking too early right now? And if so, how? If you're our team, how do you keep that spark alive? How do you keep it going so we're fresh, we're not stale running into the playoffs, so we keep that momentum going?
So I'm going to answer this question in two ways. I'm going to say yes. Thank you for your call. I'm going to say yes. I am worried that they are peaking at the wrong time. I really am. I do think one thing, though. Like the really good teams are just good. Like the really good teams and Vrabel teams. 2018 was this way, maybe in large part because of the schedule, but also because they got better in November and December. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Patriots in November of that year. And then I think they were 4-1 in December that year. Like, that was 2018, Vrabel's first year. 2019, we all know, 2-4. Tannehill goes in there. They get hot down the stretch. And I would have thought that they were peaking until they got to December and Derrick Henry got hurt. But then they came back, and in the playoffs, you could argue that they peaked. And they just ran into a team that was better than them in Kansas City. I don't know. They played okay in the AFC title game. Had injuries, things of that magnitude. But I think it comes down to injuries. That's what I think it really matters. And I am using, and it may not matter, but I am using the history of the Tennessee Titans. And I will tell you that in 1999, the Titans started 4-1 or 3-1 or something like that. And then they stacked a bunch of wins in a row. And then they lost a game at Baltimore in December, and they were 13-3, and they got to the playoffs, and they didn't really play that well in the wild card game against Buffalo. And that's why they had to win it with a miracle. And then they got that jolt of electricity, and they went to Indianapolis and beat the Colts. They embarrassed Jacksonville in Jacksonville, but then the injuries. Yancey Thigpen got hurt, broke his ankle catching a touchdown pass in the AFC Championship game. Marcus Robertson, starting safety, got hurt, broke his ankle making an interception in the end zone against Jacksonville. Blaine Bishop got hurt in the Super Bowl. And so now Kurt Warner is throwing the ball deep, and there's no Blaine Bishop and there's no Marcus Robertson. And those two guys, those were Pro Bowl caliber guys back there. And so now you got Anthony Dorsett and a long ball touchdown. And that's why I look at these playoffs and I think to myself, okay, if you can maintain health and you don't lose a Simmons and you don't lose a Autry and you don't lose Dupree and you don't lose Landry, Tannehill, Brown, and you get Henry back, then I think you're okay. All the other ones, Lewan and the tight ends and the real valuable guys for the Titans, like the guys that they cannot lose, the four guys up front, David Long Jr., Byard, Tannehill, A.J. Brown, and they need to get Henry back. Mm-hmm. That's what they need. And if they can make a run, if those guys are healthy. And I still think the road to the Super Bowl is as important, if not more important, than peaking at the right time. The 2008 Titans, best record in the league, 13-3. Chris Johnson got hurt in the playoff game with an ankle injury. Kevin Mawai, Hall of Fame center, got hurt. Leroy Harris started, and I think he had a bad snap in that game. Albert Haynesworth, who I thought should have been Defensive Player of the Year that year, Albert Haynesworth got hurt. So the team that went 13-3 and it started the year 10-0 was not the team that was playing the Ravens in the playoffs. And so that's as important to me as peaking at the right time. How healthy are you? And remember that you're going to lose guys from one playoff game to the next playoff game because this is the NFL. So if you get the bye, Buffalo might lose somebody important, or Baltimore might lose somebody important, and they got to play twice, so they can lose two players in two games that are important to them. And here you are, you beat the Raiders in the first game that you play, and now you're in the AFC Championship game. So that's as important, I think, as the whole peaking at the right time kind of thing. What's the text line say? Go ahead.
Well, at what certain point is it peaking or a Vrabel special, and at what point is it just the Titans are just the better team?
If they can beat the bad teams.
That's fair. If
they can beat the bad teams, then it is not what we've seen over the last 4 years of beat a team you shouldn't beat, lose to a team you should beat. That kind of.
Because it's tough to say that right now is the Titans' peak if Ryan Tannehill is throwing at least an interception a game and Derrick Henry is not healthy.
Oh, that drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. The Titans' peak in 2018 involved a win with Blaine Gabbert. So peaking is peaking, and I get it, but I would agree with you, yes. But, I think that those are the guys. You need to keep those guys healthy and get Derrick Henry back, and I think you have a shot. What do we have in the text line?
Ron texts in and says, I believe the Titans will be the favorite on the rest of their games this year, and I hope they can run the table, but I worry about how the Titans always seem to play up or down to their opponents.
Mike Vrabel special.
Yep, Titans definitely need to keep the attitude they have and don't sleep on the Jags and Texans or even Miami.
Well, can I just say, I don't care if they're favored in all the other games, because they haven't been favored in all these games.
In the past four, were they favored in the Colts game?
No,
I don't think so. I think it was,
they were 2-point dogs.
Home field advantage for the Colts there. So, yeah, the past 4 games, they have not been favored. So I don't think that really necessarily matters. And I think that we've been playing up this whole underdog attitude the Titans have had this season, and it's been working for them. That is kind of the Mike Vrabel mentality of, oh, you want to doubt us? That's fine.
To me, I don't care if you're favored the rest of the way. You got to win. Mm-hmm. You got to be, so this is, to rank kind of the rest of the schedule, I think the Patriots and the Steelers are the 2 best teams left on the schedule. Then I think the Saints.
Then the Steelers.
49ers. No, Patriots and Steelers are first.
Okay.
Then the 49ers, then all the other teams. Mm-hmm. And 49ers might be closer to the other teams than they are to, Saints and Steelers or whatever. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Boy, there are a lot of stuff that I want to get to today that I'm not sure we may have time to get to. I mean, seriously, we have been rocking and rolling so far today on a Tuesday. So coming up next, we've talked about how about them Titans all week? Mm-hmm. How about them Vols?
How about them Vols?
How about them Vols? We will touch on that coming up next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game. Invigorate Health, that's right. Listen to this. Just jot it down right now. InvigorateHealthTN.com. Who is struggling with weight loss? I think if you've watched the show over the years or if you've seen, me, I go up sometimes, I go down sometimes. It's tough. I get it. I understand. As a kid, I was morbidly obese, and it was something that bothered me every day. Well, now the FDA has a new approved weight loss drug, semaglutide, which they have at Invigorate Health, InvigorateHealthTN.com. And what you can do is you now can get semaglutide. Now, they will be monitoring your blood work and everything else. You'll go in, you'll get that done before they start you on anything. Their trained physicians and nurses know exactly what they're doing. I have talked to multiple doctors because I wanted to make sure before I talked to you guys that I knew that, hey, this semaglutide was safe. Before all of a sudden I'm saying, hey, this is not miracle weight loss cure. No, this is FDA approved. It is a drug that they have been prescribing to diabetic patients for years. Men's Health Magazine says that this could be the breakthrough in weight loss. Just like how there's high blood pressure medication and anxiety medication, this is weight loss medication, semaglutide. And Invigorate Health, online at InvigorateHealthTN.com has it. Just give them a call. They've also got therapies that will help increase your vitality, like hormone replacement therapy, testosterone, IV treatments. I have not gotten the IV treatments done yet. I need to go there and get the little IV put in and just see how that feels. I have done the M-Sculpt Neo, and I've done 3 sessions with that, and I can see tons of results. So you need to give my friends at Invigorate Health a call today. If you are struggling with weight loss, if this is going to be your New Year's resolution, get started on it now. Semaglutide, InvigorateHealthTN.com.
The voice of reason.
No, you blew it. That's what happened. It didn't slip away. You blew it.
The voice of the fan.
The officials had let that game get out of control before anything got thrown.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey Nashville, we think you deserve the very best driving experience, and now is the time for our Season of Change CPO event at Mercedes-Benz of Music City. When you purchase a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz, you're backed by the remaining new vehicle limited warranty. Once that expires, the certified pre-owned limited warranty goes into effect, providing an additional 12 months of coverage with unlimited miles. See all the perks and exceptional offers for your certified pre-owned vehicle from Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
There's a confusion about how to protect yourself from COVID. But one thing is for sure, whether or not you're vaccinated, you need an accurate thermometer. Contact your medical provider at the first sign of fever, the leading sign of COVID and the flu. Only the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate in more than 100 clinical studies. Be vigilant and don't rely on non-contact thermometers. They have no scientific studies behind them and can miss the fever that might mean COVID. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Christmas shopping starts now at Electronic Express. Get huge savings on the hottest gifts with up to 50% off in every department. 4K TVs, computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, and more. That's not all. Get up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. We've got what you need this Christmas at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at theGameNashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman. On Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Trevor Maddich, ESPN college football analyst, in 30 minutes. By the way, I have a revelation for Trevor that we can get into.
Okay.
Did
what
you
is
watch
it?
Alabama this weekend? Because you're an LSU fan.
Unfortunately, I did, yes.
Okay, and did you think you guys were going to win?
Absolutely. And that wasn't like a homer thing, because I went into that game thinking, okay, our season's over. We're going to get slaughtered. Let's just have fun with it. And then at the half, I was like, wait, hold on now. Even in the first quarter, I was like, wait, hold on now. We are up against Alabama 7-0, and we have all the momentum. I mean, LSU was 8 yards away from winning that game.
I'm just going to say this to the committee.
Take him out.
You can tell me about the eyeball test. I'm not sure Alabama would beat Cincinnati under the eyeball test.
I told you.
And I watched Ohio State play Nebraska Saturday. I don't think you can eyeball test me on Ohio State and Alabama and say, if I was someone who didn't watch college football, I doubt Stephen A. Smith sits there on a Saturday and watches college football.
No, because all of Stephen A.'s takes about college football are just Alabama's the best.
Right. You would say, well, if I put Alabama on the field and I put them on the field, if I put them on the field, Alabama would beat Cincinnati.
Cincinnati didn't look great either, though.
But I have seen Cincinnati look great this season.
Yes.
And the eyeball test and all those bullcrap numbers Fitz brings on the show, I mean, he can stick that where the sun doesn't shine, because, I mean, that right there, that to me, I mean, I thought Alabama sucked.
There have been several teams who should not have been in the game with Alabama that were in the game with Alabama. Florida, Tennessee, LSU.
I don't think Alabama's are good. Now, Tennessee, how about them Vols? So I'm going to say this. Tennessee's season, because they're going to beat South Alabama and they're going to beat Vanderbilt. They're going to lose to Georgia. Tennessee's season at 7-5 will be an unmitigated success. That when all the drama of last year and how miserable of a season that was, followed by all the guys who left in the transfer portal, followed by Jeremy Pruitt being fired and Kevin Steele being brought in and elevated to interim coach, and him being fired before ever coaching a game, and the nightmare mess that was the Vols off season with Fulmer out and Danny White in and the guy from Central Florida, who, brought in to coach, and is this going to be any good? They don't got any players, and who's going to play quarterback? And the unmitigated success. They've got
For
a quarterback.
sure.
They are respectable kind of in the SEC. They are certainly respectable in the East. I'd argue right now they're probably the second best team in the East.
I think they are.
Florida is a complete and total mess. So everything
Kentucky has fallen from grace.
Everything that you could want about Tennessee, I think is fair. Now, I think the officiating at the end of the game was a disgrace. And I think Kentucky's got a fair bone to pick. It's not as big as the bone to pick I feel like the Chicago Bears have today.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit, it's almost there. The one thing that I would tell Tennessee fans is this. And again, I think this has been a great season for Tennessee. And I think Josh Heupel has done a great job. But I heard Robbie and Rexroad talking about this. And it was like, okay, now that the Vols got this win over Kentucky, does this mean that the Vols that Josh Heupel's going to bring the program back, or does this prove that Josh Heupel is going to take them up? And and I'm just going to say this. It doesn't mean anything other than Josh Heupel had a good first year, and this is a good start. It does not mean that next year you will be competing with Florida when they get their act together, Georgia, Alabama, the good teams. Because
they might.
You didn't really compete with them this year. The games were kind of close. We haven't played Georgia yet. The games were kind of close. But at the end, they still kind of got blown out by Florida, and they still kind of got blown out by Alabama. The scoreboards, which is what matters. And so you didn't do that yet. And it doesn't mean you're going to do that next year, because your recruiting classes over the last couple of years aren't as good as their recruiting classes. So their players are going to be better than your players. And maybe not at Florida, but at the other two places, I feel pretty confident that they've got good coaches. So I wouldn't get too excited about that. I wouldn't get excited about the future of Tennessee football when I don't know who the long-term answer at quarterback's going to be. Hendon Hooker's played great, but you've got, a little bit more of that. But then what's the long-term answer here? And with some of these programs like Georgia, it doesn't matter, because Georgia can have an average quarterback like they have now, but have such a good defense that it doesn't matter. Well, Tennessee's never going to have that, especially with Heupel being the coach. So what I'm saying is, don't become insufferable. Like, I know Vol fans sometimes struggle with this. Like, they get excited, and it's just like, yes, 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 on our way. Here we go. We are back. Let's do it. Next year's our year. Heupel's the guy. Give us a couple seasons. And I will just use history. And I will say, and Ian can back me up on this, but I felt the same way in 2014 when I was like, everybody calm down about Butch Jones. 2014, 2015, like, everybody calm down about Butch Jones, because they were getting suckered in by two things. Butch was recruiting at an unbelievable rate. The level of players in the state of Tennessee was pretty high, and Butch was killing it, as far as getting the top players from the state. Jalen Hurd, Jalen Reeves-Maben, Derek Barnett. Butch was killing it. But it seemed kind of like fishy to me. Like, South Carolina had a bad year in 14, carried over into 15, and ultimately Spurrier left in the middle of the year because he couldn't do it anymore because they were so bad. And they won at the end of the year. They beat like South Carolina, Kentucky, Missouri, and Vandy. And Tennessee fans, and they smoked Iowa in the Gator Bowl. And I think like Tennessee fans at that point were like, he's the guy. Like, he's the man. This is the program. On our way. And then when they started playing the good teams, and they had teams good enough to beat the good teams, they lost right there in overtime against Baker Mayfield in Oklahoma because Butch couldn't finish the job because he wasn't a good enough coach. Couldn't finish the job against Florida that year. Couldn't seal the deal the next years against Vanderbilt and South Carolina. It all fell apart. Jeremy Pruitt, 2 years ago. Jeremy Pruitt. He came in like a lot of these Tennessee coaches and inherited a mess, and they were bad the first year, just like we thought Josh Heupel was going to be bad the first year. Now, Heupel's been better than Pruitt in the first year, but the second year, Pruitt went 8-4. Now, we don't forget that he lost to, I think it was Georgia State and BYU. But then after that, he cleaned up in the SEC. They won a bowl game. I think they won the Gator Bowl or the Tax Slayer Bowl or whichever the one it is that's in Jacksonville. He won, and Tennessee fans loved him. And they were all about Jeremy Pruitt. They gave Jeremy Pruitt a contract extension. I criticized it, and everyone's like, what do you mean, Jared? Jeremy Pruitt. People were legitimately calling into the show, and people were telling me that they were giving Pruitt a raise because they were worried that Pruitt was going to be targeted by Alabama when Nick Saban decided to retire. And we're talking about, 17 months ago, that's what people were saying. No, 14 months ago, that's what people were saying. That's how short of a time it has been that people were thinking that then.
Mm-hmm.
So what it means is when Jeremy Pruitt goes 8-4 in that second year and wins that bowl game against Indiana, it doesn't mean anything else going forward. Until you get those recruits, like the transitional, recruits that are game-changing. Nick Saban did it his first class at Alabama. He went out and he got Mark Ingram, and he got Julio Jones, and he got Dante Hightower, and he got Barrett Jones, and he got a lot of great players in that first recruiting class and then the second class. And if Heupel can get those players and keep coaching them up the way they are now, then maybe next year they can compete with the big boys with a Hendon Hooker at quarterback, like how John Parker Wilson competed for a year as the quarterback at Alabama. But it's going to take a lot now. It is not going to be this easy. So I'm happy for Tennessee. I think that this is better than anybody could have expected this season. Now, I will say, I don't think we expected Missouri to suck so bad.
Yeah, Missouri sucks.
I don't think we looked at them and thought, boy, they stink. But, they really suck. But I still think, the SEC, clearly there's the haves and the have-nots. And you're now past the point of, the middle of the SEC. You're now past that. You probably sit where Auburn sits right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Auburn's fine. Auburn's not good enough for Auburn, but Auburn's
they're solid.
They're okay. And that's probably where you sit, which is a lot better than where you sat at the beginning of the year, which is good. But, you beat Kentucky. That's, at the end of the day, you beat Kentucky. I've seen Tennessee fans that get
Which is something that you didn't think that they would do, though.
I did not.
So you have to give the Vols credit for that.
And I have given them their credit that they're better than we expected.
Yes.
But, the emotional excitement of we've done it that came after a Kentucky win is probably a little too much. Big picture. If you beat Kentucky next year, the emotional excitement of we did it should not be this high. You should expect to beat Kentucky next year. And you should expect to beat Kentucky the year after that. And that's kind of my thing is, hey, you felt that way about Butch, and then when those wins weren't good enough, the next years you got really, really mad. With Pruitt, you went 8-4. The next year was an unmitigated disaster, and you couldn't get that guy out of here fast enough. So I'm with Tennessee saying, hey, it was a great first year.
Mm-hmm.
You should be very proud. You have a quarterback, which how they could have started the other guy over this guy, I don't know what they saw in training camp, but this guy's way better than Milton. Hooker's pretty good.
Yeah, Hooker's pretty good.
But
this offense is so fun to watch because it is so fast. If you look at the time of possession between Tennessee and Kentucky, Tennessee had possession for 2.5 minutes. Not very long at all. This offense is so quick, so it is very fun to watch. And it's fun to watch the right quarterback be plugged into it because we've seen what it looks like with Joe Milton. It's not great.
I just want to get that out there. How much in your life was the we did it Saturday night?
A lot. It came from everyone in my life who was a diehard UT fan. It came from them. Yes, it came. But, to be fair, I think they had every right to be excited.
It was a nice step. But it is nothing more than the step that you just took. There's not another, to me, there's not another layer to it. There's not okay, next year now, the Vols are back. Not yet. Now, show me a recruiting class that's got some freaking studs in it. Now we can talk. But right now, it's better than we had expected. It doesn't mean he's the guy. It doesn't mean he's going to be a superstar coach. But, again, it's better than we expected. He has been better than expected. That I can give him credit for.
I do think, just based off of the Vol fans in my life, this feels like the approach toward Josh Heupel feels different than the approach toward Butch Jones and Jeremy Pruitt.
Why?
To where when Butch Jones won those games, the Missouris, the Kentuckys, the South Carolinas, the Vanderbilts, so on and so forth. Same with Jeremy Pruitt. I think Vol fans were so all in on it because they saw that success in the East and they saw, the 8-4s, the 7-5 seasons and thought this is the guy. For both Butch Jones and Jeremy Pruitt.
You don't think they feel that right now about Josh Heupel?
I think that they're excited about Josh Heupel. I think they're excited about this team, which they very much so should be because it is exciting. But I don't feel that same, that's our guy. Jeremy Pruitt is our coach and we love him. I don't feel that same feeling from them toward Josh Heupel because I think that Vol fans at this point have been through it enough times with Derek Dooley, Butch Jones, Lane Kiffin, Pruitt that they've been through it before. So I don't think that they're as on board with Josh Heupel. I think they're approaching it with cautious optimism.
Let's get your phones on it. 615-737-1025. That's our phone number. 615-737-1025. Trevor Maddich later this hour. I got to tell you something about the college football playoff committee. I don't care what their rankings are going to be tonight. I don't care. I think it's all bullcrap. But there is something that I have decided this college football season, and I'm going to be the only person who says it, and I'll say it next. Stillman and Company right here on ESPN 1025. Like maybe me and a Clemson fan. I think maybe those are the two people that could end up saying this. Join 1025 The Game this Wednesday night for the Bud Light Preds watch party at Headquarters Beercade. There will be great drink specials. Enter to win Preds tickets to an upcoming home game and watch the Preds take on the Dallas Stars. So join us this Wednesday night at Headquarters Beercade, located at 114 2nd Avenue South, downtown. Puck drop is at 7:30. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Titans on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Those guys played fantastic. It was fun to watch them play. The Titans are the NFL's hottest team.
Big plays, big moments.
It's just incredible.
After consecutive wins against the Bills, Chiefs, Colts, and Rams.
Man, were they good.
Oh,
It's unbelievable.
You're home for the best Titans coverage.
That is a team that is putting it all on the line.
They stepped up big time.
Is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Some people think fall is the best time of the year. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Closer, bolder, golden. Nashville SC Stadium is arriving in 2022 and season tickets are on sale now. With just 150 feet between the pitch and the last row, you'll be right there in the action no matter where you sit. If you thought soccer in Nashville was a party already, you ain't seen nothing yet. So come on in, grab a seat, and stay a while as we open a new era of Nashville sports. For more information on season tickets at the new Nashville SC Stadium, visit nashvillesc.com/22 ticks.
312 Pizza Company is home to Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
Man, how can you afford gas for that big SUV?
I pay less for gas than everyone else. I got the free Get Upside Gas app and get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas.
Hold on. You're getting up to 25 cents off a gallon with the free Get Upside Gas app while I'm paying full price?
You know it. People earned over $1 million last year. You just got to take a picture of your gas receipt and bam, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back.
You don't have to tell me twice. I'm downloading the free Get Upside Gas app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code HOT for a 25-cent a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next tank. Just download the free Get Upside app at the App Store or Google Play and use promo code HOT. Save money on gas on every fill-up. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code HOT. That's HOT. Visit getupside.com for terms.
Treating erectile dysfunction with acoustic wave therapy has been getting a lot of attention lately. But you should know that some are promising results we just haven't seen and charging a lot of money for the treatments as well. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're looking at acoustic wave therapy or any option to help your ED, you really should call us first. Unlike wave therapy only clinics, the Tennessee Men's Clinic wave therapy protocols do use acoustic wave technology, but we also often combine it with other treatments that can give most of our patients far higher satisfaction rates. There is no surgery nor any type of invasive procedure required. And even better, depending on your treatment strategy and with our urologist and provider's guidance, you can likely have sex the day after your appointment. We even have other treatments that can help you last up to an hour. Plus, for a limited time, we're waiving our normal appointment charge, which includes a PSA and T test, and offering a free ultrasound, altogether nearly a $400 value, for free. So make an appointment today. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
With the Capital One Saver Card, you earn unlimited 4% cash back on dining out or in, 4% back on entertainment, or on popular streaming. And now, 3% back at grocery stores so you can make the cake that makes her day.
Happy birthday to you.
So earn unlimited cash back for going out or staying in with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Play silly underdog picks today. Pick 3 underdog teams you think will win this week before the games begin, and you could be a winner for tickets to an upcoming sporting event or concert. Go to theGameNashville.com for more details and to play. Silly underdog picks brought to you by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. So we're talking about the Vols, and I was just talking to Ian during the break, and I mean this with all due respect to Tennessee fans. I just wonder if in Nashville the Vols just don't move the needle like they used to. Maybe they do, but it doesn't feel to me like the Vols move the needle like they used to. And I mean like used to like 4 years ago. I mean, it just doesn't feel like they're that popular anymore. And I see people that, like, I would not, this is just me, I'm not critiquing anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I purposely did not talk about the Vols yesterday. After that big of a Titan win, I did not talk about the Vols because I was 4 hours of the Titans. Because I think the Titans are that big of a deal here. And I don't know if it's that we're more of a pro sports town or the Vols have been so bad for so long that they just don't carry the weight, or all these other people have moved in here. I can't tell you what it is. But I have felt for time and time again that they just do not matter, Tennessee, like that they just keep mattering less and less and less, which is why I would never like go out and hire ex-UT Vol players and put them on my shows. It's like, hey, we got Vols. Some people do. I wouldn't, simply because I just don't think the Vols are that popular anymore. Now, like last year, I brought this up to Mark Howard, and Mark Howard's like, no. Like Mark was like, no, the Vols will always be in it. And I'm like, Mark was here doing TV in 1991, and that was different in 1991 than it is now. So I don't know. There is one thing that I do wonder after this week, and I am going to bring this up with Trevor Maddich when he joins us. Expectations are everything in life, right? Like, we talk about the Titans and Ryan Tannehill and turning it over too many times. He's on pace for 15 interceptions because we're scared to death that they're going to lose a playoff game because our expectations for the Titans is that the Titans have the capability of doing something positive in the playoffs, right?
Yes.
Okay. If you're the Chargers, do you look at your games like that? If you're the Raiders, do you look at your games like that? Like, do you think the Raider fans look at the Raiders and think, gosh, with Derek Carr and this defense, we can go to the Super Bowl?
Why wouldn't they think that?
Because they're not good enough.
Well, do you think Raider fans think that?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm sure there's the crazies who do, but I think in general they really don't. Like when Mike Mularkey got the Titans to the playoffs for the first time in 10 years or whatever it was, I was like, oh my God, thank God the Titans are in the playoffs. Oh, goodness gracious. Ryan Suckup made a field goal against Kansas City the year before that put them in the playoff discussion, and it had been so long since they had been in there that when Suckup was going to kick it, I was like, oh my God, I've missed this feeling. Like, oh my God. Expectations are everything. We know what Alabama's expectations are, and we know what Ohio State's expectations are. They're the same expectations Clemson walked into the season with. Clemson knows they stink. Like, they do stink, and they know it. And their fans know it. And Dabo Swinney says people come up to him right now and say they're praying for him. Because they know how much they stink. When I watch Alabama, by Alabama standards, I think they kind of stink. I thought they stunk against Florida. I thought they stunk against Tennessee. I thought they stunk this past week against LSU. You know me. I'm a Nick Saban fan. I consider Nick a friend. I love Alabama. I love that program. Now, when he leaves, I probably won't love it, but I love that program. I think they got tons of NFL players like they do every year. But I think they kind of stink. They are playing almost every week outside of the Ole Miss game. They are playing teams who should not be in the game with them, and they are going down to the wire. Texas A&M beats them. I mean, Saban lost his bananas after the Mercer game and was like, we're going to learn real quickly now. I think we've learned this Alabama team, and I don't know if it's the quarterback, because I think the quarterback's pretty good. I don't know if it's that the wide receivers aren't as great as they've been. I don't know if it's the running game that they don't have. I don't know if it's that the defense sucks. Like a Nick Saban defense looks that bad.
And it's the penalties, too. They rack up so many penalties.
When they played Tennessee, Greg McElroy was calling the game.
Which I feel like he shouldn't do.
Because he played there?
Yeah.
So should Troy Aikman not call the Cowboys?
I mean, it just feels like a little bit of a conflict of interest.
Well,
but I digress.
You know Fox wants Troy Aikman calling the Cowboys, right?
Yes.
I think ESPN probably wants Greg McElroy calling those games.
Well, I know that they want that. I'm just saying, I don't know if I like it.
I bet when they get the number one game, Danielson will retire and McElroy will be the number one SEC guy.
Really?
I would go with Jordan Rodgers over McElroy because I think Jordan's better. I'm also biased.
He's also your friend.
We're friends. But I would go Jordan over McElroy, but I think they're going to go McElroy. But McElroy, when they were doing the Tennessee-Alabama game, McElroy was like, these guys aren't even lined up.
Yeah.
And, it was like the disgust in his voice, like, how dare Nick Saban's players not be lined up? Did you watch Ohio State this weekend against Nebraska?
I did not.
The one good thing that Ohio State has, and I can't stand Ohio State, but the one good thing about Ohio State is that they play every game at noon because they're the big draw on Fox, who's got the Big Ten package, and Fox wants their games, the big ones, at noon. Ohio State sucks for Ohio State. That Nebraska team is trash, and they were right in the game with them. I'm just saying.
I mean, to say that Alabama stinks, I think you would have to ask different Alabama fans.
I said by Alabama standards.
By Alabama standards. They still only have one loss in their season. They play undisciplined. There have been teams that have been in the game with them that should not have been in the game with them.
But
that's the Alabama standard, is that you win in the end. I know they lost to Texas A&M.
Alabama has had teams that have lost games.
Yes.
This team looks a lot worse than those teams. This team does not look like the Alabama team that lost to Johnny Manziel and A&M and then blew out Notre Dame in the championship, the one that couldn't make field goals against LSU in the regular season and beat them in the title game. Like all these Alabamas, the one that couldn't win a game at Auburn, they don't look like that.
And I know that this isn't how the college football playoff views things, but how much grace are we willing to give Alabama knowing that they have a first-year quarterback, 2 first-year wide receivers, a first-year running back, and I think 3 maybe first-year offensive linemen out on the field, and they're still
0,
6-1, 7-1,
0
whatever
goals.
week this is.
This is Alabama we're talking about. These are Alabama standards.
Okay.
Excuses are not allowed at Alabama. It's like New York or Boston sports.
But they still have only lost 1 game.
Right.
And I know that their games haven't necessarily been pretty.
But this is Alabama.
What do we call 2019 LSU? One of the best college football teams of all time. They played close against Alabama. They played close against Ole Miss.
They beat Alabama.
46-41.
They beat
Alabama was in that game.
Pretty handedly. Alabama, I think, scored a garbage touchdown. I felt like LSU commanded that
Ole
game.
Miss was in the game with them.
I can't tell you about that one. Texas was in a game with them. I get it. But
you're going to play teams close.
But these teams suck. Florida sucks.
Yeah, Florida's not good.
That's
Florida's
my
not
problem. That's my issue with Alabama. The Alabama standard. When I played basketball at USN, I think everybody knows about USN. US. Now, eventually we got moved into, because we had a lesser enrollment than some of these other schools. But USN, and I love USN with all my heart, we did not take sports as seriously as Brentwood Academy and Ensworth and MBA and all those schools. So when we played Brentwood Academy and they had Brandon Wright, the expectation was Brentwood Academy would beat us by 30. We lost a game 49-29 to them, and I was like, man, we played great. Because that was the expectation. The expectation at Brentwood Academy was you were going to go win the state championship. And they weren't going to lose. And if they lost a game, it was the end of the world. I think Father Ryan beat them once, and it was like, oh, my God. Because, I mean, that's Brentwood Academy.
Well, that's how we felt after Texas A&M beat Alabama. Was oh, my God.
But, like, Brentwood Academy with Brandon Wright was not supposed to play close to anybody. And they did. Or if they did, it was bad. Here, I mean, this is not, to me, the standard of Alabama. We got to get it, Trevor. And I'm going to take this same energy and argument into it with Trevor because they're going to rank them 2 today. Again, who gives a rat's ass? But they will. That's next. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Wednesday night.
Stopped by Saros. Pump checked away and taken now by Mikhail Gronlund.
UC Saros and the Nashville Predators are back on the road for a division battle with the Dallas Stars. Pre-game at 6:30. Face-off at 7:30 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Here's exciting news from Genesis Diamonds, just in time for the holidays. We've just introduced our all-new luxury pre-owned Rolex collection, the largest and best selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces in Middle Tennessee. Hard to find, very sought-after timepieces. Over the past few months, we've scoured the country to find the best, most pristine, hard-to-get luxury pre-owned Rolexes, Submariners, Hulks, Batmans, Daytonas, Pepsis, and more. And next weekend, November 19th, 20th, and 21st, Genesis Diamonds is hosting our first ever exclusive luxury pre-owned Rolex event. Your chance to get the luxury pre-owned Rolex of your dreams with special financing. Imagine a pre-owned Air King for just $199 a month, or an extremely rare two-tone Daytona for less than $460 a month. Also for this event, our Rolex buyers are on site offering top dollar for your pre-owned Rolex. Come see Genesis all-new selection of certified luxury pre-owned Rolex watches November 19th, 20th, and 21st. Genesis Diamonds, your new home for luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
More than 80% of hospitals and other healthcare employers are now looking to hire nurses holding a bachelor's degree. That's why Aspen University's 3-year accelerated and accredited BSN pre-licensure program is now enrolling with no wait list. Tuition and fees are less than $50,000 and transfer credits are accepted. Want to learn more? Just text STEP to 323232 right now. Most courses are online and you'll complete your clinicals within our collaborative network of healthcare providers. Plus, if you need more flexibility, we offer a nights and weekends program. Text STEP to 323232 right now. All clinical simulations and labs are delivered in person while following CDC guidelines for social distancing and masks. If you've thought about becoming a registered nurse, the time is now. Text STEP to 323232 to learn more today. Text the word STEP to 323232 right now. Text STEP to 323232. Total cost of the degree program will vary depending on the courses taken, transfer credits awarded, and fees incurred. Employment statistics are from the AACN Research Brief published in December 2020. Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Message and data rates may apply.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and Craneworks and Rentalworks, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company, I am fired up discussing Alabama. And you know me, I love Alabama and I love Nick Saban. I mean, I don't really love Alabama. I love Nick Saban. I'm a Nick Saban fan. I consider myself a friend, or I consider Nick Saban my friend. And we may not actually be friends. I don't know. I just know that we know each other, and I consider him my friend. So I would say that.
I'm sure he thinks the same.
Hey, you know what? He called me when Floyd died, and I'll
That
never
is very
forget
nice of
about
him.
that. And Kyle texts into the text line, which is driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, says, I've watched Alabama over the years. I was thinking this season was one in which they would get better as the season has gone on. They have not. They are not close to the caliber of team that Nick Saban usually has. And I agree. Somebody texted me and said, the Alabama standard is not to win the game. The Alabama standard is that you look unbeatable in every game. For Alabama standards, not for college football standards, for Alabama standards, I think they kind of stink this year. I think Ohio State kind of stinks by their standards. Clemson really stinks by Clemson standards. But I think right now the committee looks at Alabama and sees Alabama on the jersey and says, in you go. And I just don't see it on the field of what I've used to seeing against Alabama. Trevor Maddox joins us now, ESPN college football analyst, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trev, can you tell how worked up I am about this? And I love Nick Saban, but I think Alabama, when we think Alabama, what we're watching right now, the discipline issues, the defensive issues, that this is not Alabama that we're watching right now.
It is not. You are right about that. The defense has been up and down, and when it's been down, it's been because of uncharacteristic mental errors and missed assignments. I mean, all three of Tennessee's touchdown passes came on busted coverages that Hendon Hooker took advantage of.
Yep.
Tennessee took advantage of them, but they were still busted coverages, and so Nick Saban pitched a fit at halftime and then after the game about that. But it's been like that every other week where the defense has been dominant, and then the next week the defense has made a lot of mistakes, and those defensive mistakes are really what cost them the loss against Texas A&M. So, yeah, that's right. And then offensively, they've been hanging on the arm of quarterback Bryce Young, freshman quarterback. The offensive line, not what they've been in the past. They've been okay this year. They've not been dominant. But then their center got hurt, and they had to take their right tackle, who's been struggling in pass protection at right tackle, move him into center. Now you've got a guy that's playing center that's supposed to be the right tackle. The left guard's been struggling in run blocking, and other guys are struggling, except left tackle Evan Neal. He's been pretty fantastic. And so you put all that together, and the Alabama offense isn't what we expect, which is grind you into a pulp and then go over the top when you bring safeties up to try to stop the run. And so this Bama team looks completely different this year than they have in years past when they've been at your best. So, Jared, everything that you're saying is fair.
So I say all of this to say that tonight they're going to put them into the playoff. And again, if I was in that committee room, we wouldn't have rankings at 7 o'clock on TV tonight because I'd be the hung juror. I'd be the one that's like, nope, jury is still deliberating back here because I can't in good conscience put Alabama into the college football playoff the way that they've looked this year. And I think the difference between me and everybody else is everybody else just sees Alabama. And they think if we put Alabama on the field with Cincinnati, we would take Alabama. But did you watch Alabama against LSU this Saturday? I think Cincinnati could give Alabama a run for their money. Gus Malzahn, who does have a dog in the fight at UCF, it's his conference, but he knows Cincinnati, and he knows Alabama, and he says Alabama can play with those teams. Cincinnati can play with those teams. I am going to be upset today. I know. I didn't think Ohio State looked very good against an average to below terrible Nebraska team. Trev, I'm getting worked up thinking about what the committee's going to do tonight.
Well, I think they're going to put Alabama at number 3, so you might be happy about that.
They could have easily lost. Caroline said it this way. They were 8 yards away from losing to that LSU team that fired their coach a month ago.
Yep, and with epic injuries, by the way. Both starting corners have been out for a while. Their best player on their team is a receiver, Keyshawn Boutte. He's been out for a while. So this is an LSU team, not just that fired their coach, but they're banged up as well. And so you're right about that. But here's the thing about the committee, though. I think they'll put Oregon at number 2 because they've got the best win right now, or one of the best wins in all of college football. Like Texas A&M, you could say beat Alabama. You could say that might be the best win, but Oregon went to Columbus and won on Ohio State's home field.
Yep.
And so I think they will put Oregon at number 2. I would not, but I would. I think they'll put Alabama at number 3. Here's the thing, though. I've got Alabama at number 2.
Trevor.
So I know you hate that.
Trevor.
But let me tell you why. See, the committee, I think, will put them up in there in part because, you got to ask who they've beaten and who has Alabama beaten right now. I mean, their best win is Florida, but since then everybody's beaten Florida. Ole Miss is probably their best win since then, and so that's a pretty good win.
So
but
how can you have them at 2, Trev? If you know this, you know this about Alabama because you just said it. You're like, they haven't beaten anybody. Their defense is inconsistent. They're not getting lined up correctly. I mean, we were talking about Greg McElroy during that Tennessee game about how they weren't getting lined up. He was like offended calling the game. Like, how dare these Alabama players not get lined up? And you know that's got to just be right up Saban's rear end. And you're saying all this and agreeing with it. And then you're saying Alabama at 2. How can you put Alabama at 2?
Yep, because who else? Give me a name.
Oregon.
Who else?
I would put Oregon ahead of them. I would put Cincinnati ahead of them. I am totally fine with putting Cincinnati ahead of Alabama right now. I do not think that if Alabama played Cincinnati today, I think Cincinnati could win that game.
I agree with you. I agree. Remember, Cincinnati last year played Georgia in the bowl game, Peach Bowl. They were up. Cincinnati was ahead with 3 seconds to go. Georgia kicked a 53-yard field goal to beat them. And while both Cincinnati and Georgia lost some guys to the NFL off of those teams, the core of both of those teams are back, right? So Cincinnati has proven they can play at a high level. But I mean, Oregon's got the better win, right? Cincinnati's got a better win than anything Alabama has right now. Cincinnati beat Notre Dame coming into this ranking tonight. Notre Dame is ranked number 10, and Ole Miss is only ranked number 16. So Cincinnati has a better individual win than Alabama does. I think, but there's something to do with that eye test, and I think there's still some expectation that Alabama will get it figured out. Because when they are playing at their best this year with all the flaws that they've got, they are still a dominant team on both sides of the ball. The problem is the inconsistency.
Trev, you just said, I do think that they're going to get it figured out. Like, I agree because we all know Saban is not going to put up with undisciplined play and bad defense and things that they've – it's mid-November. Like, we're there, Trev. Like, and the committee, of all the things that the committee says they don't take into account, the assumption that Nick Saban is going to get this group together, which is an assumption that I normally would have. And I think you are right to have that assumption. The committee is not allowed to believe problem with the committee.
Yeah, and in a vacuum, you're right. But the issue is then the reason I put Bama at number 2, because I'm a combination of what did you do and how good you are, right? It's those two things that are combined with me now. Yeah, I was just power rankings up until the committee released their first ranking last week. Then I switched into if I were the committee, what would I do? And so look at everybody else. Michigan State just lost. Okay, so they're moving down. Oregon had a bad loss against Stanford, although their offensive coordinator, Joe Moorhead, missed that game for health reasons. They still had a bunch of injuries, a lot of injuries in that game. But then the next week, they needed a goal line stand to beat Cal, right? And so Oregon has not been dominant either. They haven't given you any reason to think that Oregon is one of the 4 best teams in the country based on the dominating nature of their play. Now, I get it that they're getting healthy now, but still there's flaws there. Ohio State, I think, is the team that's got the best chance to beat Georgia, but I wouldn't put the Buckeyes ahead of Oregon as long as Oregon only has 1 loss.
Ohio State stunk up the joint against Nebraska on Saturday.
Well, no, Nebraska, that's the 4th team that Nebraska played that either was in the top 10 when they played them or is currently in the top 10. And 3 of those were one-score games. I mean, they lost 3 of those to Oklahoma, Michigan State, and I think Michigan by a grand total of 13 points. And then they played Ohio State to a standstill. So it wasn't the first game that Nebraska played against a top 10 style opponent that they didn't, that they played well. So Ohio State, they didn't play all that well. Nebraska took them to the end, all that, but Nebraska took a lot of people to the end. So we start there. Other than that, though, Ohio State has been largely dominant, once we got into October. Not every game, but largely so. And the thing is, Cincinnati has not. I mean, 3 weeks ago, Cincinnati played Navy, and I thought that they needed to impress the committee with style points in that game. Navy, a mediocre team, and Cincinnati beat them 27-20. Okay, so you can have a game where you don't bring your A game, you survive in advance. I get it. The next week they go play Tulane, that was 1-6 at the time, and that game was 14-12 Cincinnati at the half. And the Bearcats scored a few extra touchdowns, stuff like that, late in that game to make the score look better than the rest of the game looked. But still, they did not blow out and dominate Tulane the way that they should have. And then they really need style points against Tulsa last week, right? So what does Cincinnati do? They win by 8, which is 1 score away and a 2-point conversion from going to overtime. Cincinnati desperately had to hold on in the last 3 minutes, 8 plays inside their own 12-yard line to keep Tulsa from scoring a touchdown and then a potential 2-point conversion to take that thing into overtime. And you've got to give Cincinnati's defense credit. I mean, that was 2 great goal line stands, essentially. But why in the world was Tulsa close enough to Cincinnati that it came down to that? So if you're the committee, you're looking at, okay, who's dominant? Who looks like they're playing like a playoff team right now? And you cannot look at Cincinnati the last 3 weeks and say the way they played down to the level of mediocre competition gives you confidence in them. Now, I think they're better than they played the last 3 weeks, but every game that they do that makes me wonder a little bit more about it.
Trevor Matich is our guest, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Coming up next, who does Trev think the 4 teams should be tonight? Who does he think the 4 teams will be tonight? And I'm sure I'll have some kind of comment based upon that, plus what Trevor thought of the Vols with their big win over Kentucky. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving. Trevor Matich with us. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Mainly clear and chilly as we head into the overnight tonight as temperatures drop back to the low 40s. Another nice day on tap for Wednesday, partly sunny with highs around 70. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Dan Abrams and his live PD sidekick Styx return in a new program, Dan Abrams Live, weeknights at 8, 7 Central, on News Nation.
Your home value is way up. Why not use it to make your home even nicer with a new kitchen or bathroom? Hey, Willie here. So many of our listeners are doing this with Loan Pronto, thanks to their zero-cost cash-out refi program. Call Loan Pronto now. They're fast-tracking home refis for the year-end. And people are getting checks for 60, 70, 100 grand or more. It's fast and easy. It's your money, money you can use to add even more value to your home. Imagine 2022 with that all-new luxurious kitchen you've been dreaming about. Or start building that pool so it's going to be ready for the summer. Call Loan Pronto now. See how easy it is to use the equity in your home and walk away with the big check. They can even pay your closing costs, and you can skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
From city streets to back roads. From road warrior to carpooler. There are some things you can always count on, like the reliability, durability, and power of Die Hard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on Die Hard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
Ryan Porth back again to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice, Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Earlier this year, Dr. Rice, I was disappointed to have a cavity filling even after brushing my teeth all the time and having regular checkups.
Ryan, cavities are like any other health condition. You don't really know you have one until it gets bad. Recently, I saw a patient for treatment that they had been putting off. Something that could have been simple to fix 6 months ago turned out to need a root canal and a crown. Postponing treatment costs more and takes time away from work.
Well, I can attest to the fact that if I had not been doing regular checkups, I may have had to get a root canal by now. But thanks to your great staff that has been taking care of me for almost 15 years, my teeth are as good as they've ever been.
Well, we do things differently. I want to let people know that if they're afraid of pain or worried about the cost, they are not alone. Don't be embarrassed. We understand. Give us a call at 615-373-4488. That's kellyerice.com.
Dr. Kelly Rice, Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine, 615-373-4488.
Darren McFarland.
He's cool. He's got a personality, and they make fun of him.
Willie Donick.
Would this be a fun guy to come to work and hang around with all day?
Chase McCabe.
They're just like, hey, we need you to play yourself.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curation CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Tonight, 7 o'clock, I believe. It may be 8 o'clock. I can't remember. Because tonight they got the basketball.
Yeah.
So I think it's halftime of basketball. But Trevor Maddich is with us, ESPN college football analyst. So, Trev, give me who you think the committee will put in tonight as the 4 teams, and give me who you think they should put in as 4 teams tonight.
Okay, I think they will put in, obviously, Georgia at number 1. I think they will put Oregon at number 2 because of their win over Ohio State. I think they'll put Alabama at number 3. And I think at number 4, I'm guessing it will be Ohio State. They put Oregon ahead of Ohio State in their initial ranking last week, and it was respecting the head-to-head win, which I think was the right thing to do, even though Ohio State right now is much the better team than Oregon. But I think that Cincinnati will still be the odd man out. But here's the thing. I think Cincinnati doesn't really need style points. We talked about them and their style points that they haven't gotten the last 3 weeks. I think Michigan State's loss puts Cincinnati in a position that so much can happen ahead of them that if all they do is survive in advance, I think they're going to make the top 4 anyhow. It's just a couple of things happen. They need 2 basic things to happen, and then they need only 1 team from the SEC, so Georgia to smoke whoever's in the SEC championship game, and they need Oregon to lose. And Oregon could lose. They play at Utah in a couple of weeks. Then they'll have to play Utah probably again in the Pac-12 championship game. And I don't think they'll survive that without losing at least one of those 2 games. So I think it's going to be Georgia, Oregon, Alabama, Ohio State. That's what they will do. And all I would do is flip Oregon and Alabama. I'd say Georgia first, Alabama second, then Oregon, then Ohio State.
No love for Cincinnati.
Love for Cincinnati, but they've given the committee every excuse to not put them up there because, again, they've played down to the level of mediocre competition. And they've won, they've survived in advance. But I think Cincinnati will end up being number 5, unless they take Michigan State and put them at 5. But I don't think they'll do that based on losing to Purdue and the way they lost to Purdue last week. So I'm thinking by default they will have Cincinnati at number 5. A lot of people think Michigan might move up there and maybe jump Cincinnati because Michigan's been looking pretty good. But I don't see the committee putting Michigan State ahead of Michigan right now, because Michigan State beat them head-to-head, and they have the exact same record. Both have 1 loss.
Okay, so let's say this. Let's say Oregon loses a game in the Pac-12, and there's a 2-loss, the Pac-12's out, right?
Yeah, if Oregon loses a second game, Pac-12's out.
Okay, Alabama loses to Georgia in the SEC title game. They're out. Second SEC
by more than a
out.
touchdown. By more than a touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, no. If Alabama loses by 8 points to Georgia, you think they belong in over Cincinnati?
No. I'm saying that if Alabama or Texas A&M, whoever gets there from the West, loses by more than a touchdown to Georgia, then Georgia will be the only team in the SEC that will make it. So if that's Alabama that gets there, Alabama picks up that loss, but it's not a nail-biter down to the very end, then Alabama would be out as well.
But if it is a nail-biter, you would put Alabama in over Cincinnati?
I'm saying the committee would have an excuse to do it. It would be an uproar, but the committee would have an excuse based on how Cincinnati plays down the stretch. Because Alabama will have to have beaten Auburn, which picks up another good win, and then they will have to take the number 1 team in the country down to the wire, which might give the committee an excuse to put Bama in as the first 2-loss non-champion, or the first 2-loss team ever in the playoff era. It's never happened that a 2-loss team has made the playoff. It's possible that Bama could do it, but not if they lose by more than a touchdown.
I guess the point I'm making, Trevor Maddich, our guest, the point I'm making is I think you're right. I think Cincinnati will go to 5 tonight, but when all is said and done, I think to your point, the committee is going to find a reason to jump them. So even if Oregon loses again, and Alabama will lose to Georgia in the SEC title game, and so they should be out, and then that should clear the way that Cincinnati goes right into the playoff, I think the committee is going to come up with something like a 1-loss one-loss Big 12 team that beats Oklahoma, so they're in. That's what I think I'm going to see, that almost every conference is going to have every team with at least 2 losses for any shot for Cincinnati to make this into the college football playoff.
Yeah, if Ohio State wins out, or really any of the teams in the Big Ten West win out, the Big Ten's going to have one team. So You've got Georgia, you've got Big Ten champion, you've got nobody from ACC, Pac-12, right? So now,
because we're assuming Oregon loses.
We're assuming Oregon loses. So in this scenario, right? So then Oklahoma or Oklahoma State, because both of those teams have a tough schedule with a lot of juice in it for the down the stretch of the schedule, especially should they both make it to the Big 12 championship game. And so if one of those two teams wins out, especially if it's Oklahoma undefeated, then Oklahoma's that third team, right? Mm-hmm. So who's the fourth? You got SEC champ, Big 10 champ, Big 12 champ. The other 2 Power 5 conferences are out. Notre Dame might continue to move up, but Cincinnati has head-to-head over Notre Dame.
Sure.
Now what do you do? And that's how Cincinnati gets to number 4.
Unbelievable. Trevor Matich is our guest, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. What did you make of the Vols' big win over Kentucky on Saturday night?
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, the offense was incredible. The defense got pushed around. Kentucky had over 600 total yards. They outgained Tennessee by a lot. And really, had it not been for the Alontae Taylor pick 6, Tennessee probably would have lost that game. But overall, it's the offense that has carried this team as they've improved down the stretch in this season. And it's not just the fact that Hooker is throwing accurately to his receivers down the field, and guys like Jones and Payton are able to finish those plays. More than that, the tempo, the fast play that Coach Heupel has wanted to put in now is starting to operate at a good level. And it's not just that they play fast all the time. They don't. What they'll do is they'll go a normal pace. The defense gets into a rhythm. They're looking to the sideline. They're getting the defensive call. They're turning back and getting lined up. And then all of a sudden what they'll do is, instead of going a normal pace, guy will be tackled, and they'll go hyper speed, and they'll snap the ball literally 10 or 12 seconds after the previous tackle. That's what happened on the Alabama play, and it was so funny. I did a part of a breakdown on it last week, where Alabama had all eyes at the line of scrimmage prior to the snap against Tennessee, except the corner on the offensive right had his back to the receiver and was looking at the sideline trying to figure out what the call was supposed to be. And at the snap, he was faced the wrong direction. And that's the receiver. I think it might have been Tillman, but that was the receiver that went up the right sideline and caught another long touchdown pass. And they did it against Kentucky a lot, too. I'm actually making a breakdown for SportsCenter on this very thing, on how the Tennessee speed and variations in tempo have caused so much trouble for defenses over the last several weeks. And so it's really a lot of fun to watch. And the thing about this game against Georgia is that one thing that we don't know about Georgia is how they will succeed against a top passing attack. Tennessee will be by far the best passing attack that Georgia will have faced. And so there's a lot of new guys back in that secondary, and they have not had to cover down against a really good passing game, and they will against Tennessee. So I don't know that Georgia can't do it, but I do know that we haven't seen them do it yet because they haven't faced a team like this yet. So it's going to be really interesting.
Trevor Matich, ESPN college football analyst, as always, presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Appreciate you, Trev. I'm sure I will be worked up about the committee tonight, and we'll have to bloviate about it next Tuesday with you as well.
I can't wait, Jared. I love it when you're worked up.
Appreciate you, Trev. We'll see you.
Bye.
Trevor Matich, he was on Saturday, by the way, on ESPN Radio. I was listening, driving around. He knows everything about every team.
He really does.
I mean, he was talking about, like, the running backs in North Carolina, and I was like, whatever. Then I turned on the TV, and I'm like, yeah, the running backs in North Carolina are pretty good. Though I will say this, when Ty Chandler, who ran all over Wake Forest, when he was at NBA, I literally thought this guy's going to go to UT and, like, put up 1,500 yards a year. I mean, I thought he was, like, unbelievable, unstoppable, and then he was not because they didn't use him enough at Tennessee, and now he's lighting it up at North Carolina, knocking Wake Forest kind of out of the playoff picture. Coming up next, there is a problem in the NFL, And I'm not sure it has affected the Titans yet, but boy, could it be an issue. And could it be an issue this week? We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
Now, you may say, well, a quarterback is more important than a running back. That's fine. You can say whatever you want.
The voice of the fan.
Even if we have to develop him while he's playing, I just want a boring first-round pick.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Celebrate Thanksgiving with Social Furniture and save up to 70% off all furniture. They have sofas, sectionals with chase lounge, and recliners that are all push-button electric and wall away. They have all colors to choose from for your comfort watching any hockey game. All of them are plus leather, microfiber, and Chanels. They have same-day delivery with no down payments and no interest. Forget the big box store. Support local. Support social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
Hey everybody, Robbie Stanley here, and the NFL season flying by, and there's a big Week 10 Monday night matchup between division rivals the Rams and the Niners, and FanDuel Sportsbook about to make it even bigger because FanDuel's giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. Personally, I really like the Rams in this game. I just think they're a complete team. You bring in Von Miller as well. I just really like what they're able to do on both sides of the ball, but you take it any way you want to take it. The money line, the spread, the first touchdown scorer, everything is on the table. Offers like this are why I love betting with FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the #1 rated sportsbook app in America. It's easy to use, and it's safe and secure. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just sign up with promo code ROB this week before the Rams take on the Niners, and you can win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use promo code ROB so they know that I sent you. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. A $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. A max bonus of $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain, knee pain, joint pain? Listen carefully, because now there are new treatments available here. Not talking surgery or steroids. These are regenerative treatments from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. Willie Donick here. QC Kinetics is the leader in these exciting biologic therapies that help restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints with lasting results. So if you've got pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back, joint pain that won't go away, you need to check out these new treatments with astonishing patient satisfaction reports. They can actually help your body restore and repair itself with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. So call now to schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. Tired of dealing with joint pain and want to get moving again? You need to learn more about how biologic therapies are changing the way we think about dealing with joint pain. It's exciting stuff, so don't wait. Call today. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
Zines First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Lowe's Provember event is back, and we're thanking pros like you all month long with buy one, get one free deals on select DeWalt power tools and top values like a Spyder 2-pack of 4.5-inch diamond cutoff wheels for $14.98. Join us for Provember, going on now through November 24th. Shop in-store or at Lowe's.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. While supplies last, U.S. only, valid 10/28 through 11/24.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at theGameNashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Titans and Saints this weekend. I think there's going to be a good crowd there. Not a ton of Saint fans. There will be some Saints fans.
I don't know.
No, see, the Saints aren't good.
What do you do on Broadway? You drink.
But
what do Saints fans like to do?
But that's not new to them. Like, that's not new to, like, Buffalo.
I'm just saying I know a lot of Saints fans coming in town for the game.
But that's because you're a Saint fan.
Okay.
And you're from New Orleans.
I'm not from New Orleans.
I mean, but you spent time, in Baton Rouge and spent a lot of time in New Orleans.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people coming in.
You're a Saint fan. Like, this is not going to be like the Bills or the Chiefs, or this is going to be like when the Colts come to town. Like, and there are Colt fans that come.
Yeah.
Dolphin fans that come.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be like, when the teams from the bad cities or the teams with the good fans or something like that, there'll be Saints fans. Maybe I'll be surprised. I don't know.
I don't think it will be, Bills level of, infiltration, because it was Little Buffalo on Broadway.
Yeah. No, I feel fine with that. So, I mean, look, I think the Titans should win on Sunday. Trevor Simeon's their quarterback. He stinks. I was looking at the game release that they send out every week, and I saw last night Jerome Boger will be the referee. Now, back me up on this, Ian. Jerome Boger probably has the reputation as the worst official in the NFL, right?
For you.
You don't think in general?
I don't know about that. I don't know.
I'm going to tell a story about the last time the Titans played the Saints at Nissan Stadium. That game was refereed by Jerome Boger.
The one, the only.
And in that game, the Titans didn't have Derrick Henry. And they were moving down the field late in the game in the fourth quarter, and Tannehill threw a ball to Khalif Raymond, and I forget who it was, but it was helmet-to-helmet contact, and Khalif Raymond was laying on the turf, and he looked like he had died. And the ball came out, the Saints picked it up, and I think they ran it into the end zone for a touchdown. That was the end of the game. It was clear helmet-to-helmet contact. The play should have been called dead there. It should have been a 15-yard penalty. Titans should have continued on the move. But Boger's crew missed it because they miss everything. Saints win. This is common for Jerome Boger's crew. The following Titans Monday, we were at Bridgestone Arena. Floyd and I were talking about Jerome Boger's crew messing up the game. And Floyd Reese just starts going on and on about how bad Jerome Boger is and how every time he refs a game, there's always a story like this and how they ought to kick him out of the NFL. And I heard that, and I knew that he would say certain things sometimes that I'm like, I could tell so-and-so, and they'd write an article about this. And, former Titans general manager Floyd Reese said, but I knew that every time that I did that, he'd get mad because he doesn't want headlines like that. Like one time he had talked about how he and Belichick, and it was an Ask the GM question. And he and Belichick had talked about the future after Brady. And I'm like, even the hint that Belichick had thought that there's a future after Brady is a giant headline, especially coming from him. But I knew that if I publicized that he'd get really, really mad. But so he just starts going off on Boger. And so I said to him the next day, I'm like, dude, I felt like you were trying to get Pro Football Talk to write an article. Former general manager Floyd Reese says Jerome Boger should be kicked out of the league. Mm-hmm. He goes, it's not that I was trying to get them to write that. It's that I didn't care if they did. And I was like, that
Fair
is
point.
telling you something. So I see last night around 6:30, Boger's going to be the ref. And we know he's terrible. Then I watched the Monday Night Football game last night. Holy crap. Tony Correnti has been a ref in the NFL for years and years and years. I believe Correnti did the AFC title game a couple years ago. He was terrible last night.
That was bad.
And I'm not the clipping call or whatever it was, the phantom where the guy didn't even block the guy. That was terrible. The not roughing the passer that they called where Fields delivers the ball and 6 seconds later the guy from the Steelers hits him.
The taunting.
I don't even have a problem with that. Because you don't know what Cassius Marsh said.
That's true.
That's the one thing I'll say, is you don't know what he said, and I've told you, you don't want to get a call for taunting? Don't taunt. And he ran over to the Steelers sideline, and he said something to the punter, and I don't know what he said, and Correnti was standing there, and it clearly pissed Correnti off enough that he essentially clipped a guy on his way out. Now, I didn't like that because I found that to be incredibly unprofessional.
Because if Cassius Marsh did that to the ref, he'd be out.
Done.
And he
Gone.
said that, too, in his
post-game
post-game press conference. He said, I do that, I'm fined, I'm suspended. You cannot do that.
I'll say this about Cassius Marsh, though. He's kind of a loser. A loser player. He went to the Patriots and he got cut.
Him. This is not about him.
Well, but he got cut from the Patriots. We didn't have any fun there. It's like they don't have fun there. That's the whole point. That's the Patriot way. Your fun is to win the championship.
This isn't fun. This is football.
That is New England. Like, Floyd told me, like, it's not fun there. But the fun comes when you win.
Mm-hmm.
And so he, gets cut in New England. Like, it's no fun there. Oh. And it's like, dude, you're a backup linebacker.
Okay.
Hush.
It's not about him.
I don't want to hear what he had to say about this anyways. But I'm not even getting on the taunting. I don't have any problem with taunting.
I just hate taunting.
I don't.
I think it's so stupid.
I think if you don't want taunting, don't taunt. And so they've said they're gonna address it, and they've addressed it, and whatever. But the rest of the Corrente crew last night was awful. And then after watching how bad Tony Corrente and his crew was yesterday, I thought back to the Sunday night game, the Titan game. It was terrible. Al Michaels made a joke during the broadcast to Terry McCauley, and we know this, right? Terry, Gene, John Perry, Pereira, Blandino, those guys always cover for their boys because they used to work with these guys. So they're not going to just throw the ref under the bus. And Michaels makes a comment. That crew on Sunday night was so bad that Michaels goes, not their best day today, huh, Terry? Ha, 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 ha. And then Terry was like, well, Al, I'll let you say it. Ha, ha, ha. Because the crew was that bad. Jalen Ramsey should have been kicked out of the game on Sunday night.
2 unsportsmanlike conduct calls.
And
you want to walk it back? You cannot do that.
Even if they wanted to say that it was unnecessary roughness, which I don't know how that's not a personal foul. How is unnecessary roughness not unsportsmanlike conduct? But that's the rule thing and not me. Even if you wanted to do that, like if you wanted to do that, that wasn't the right call there. The right call was taunting. He stood over A.J. Brown, and he taunted him, and that's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Jalen Ramsey should have been thrown out of the game, but it wasn't properly adjudicated. What about the freaking kickoff? When they're like, re-kick from the 50, and Terry McCauley on the broadcast is like, you can't do that in the NFL. Like, you can't do that. Like, they kicked it. They go re-kick from the 50. Then they come back, and they say, actually, we're going to put it. I'm like, because I'm thinking, why would I want to re-kick from the 50? What are you going to do, tell Randy Bullock to kick it straight up in the air? Like, I don't know what re-kicking from the 50 does for you. He's going to kick it out of the end zone. The ball's going to go to the 30 or 25 or whatever it is. And, Terry McCauley's on the broadcast. He's like, you can't do that. So I think a couple things here. The NFL, the Aaron Donald roughing the passer.
Even though it went in the Titans' way, it wasn't roughing the
passer.
It was almost like they were trying to make up for the fact that they knew roughness.
I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's every week. I mean, and the NFL's got a real problem now because all these games come right down to the wire. That's how the league is designed. The socialist government that is the NFL demands that every team essentially be 9-8 or 8-9. The best teams get the worst schedule. The worst teams get the best picks. That's how this league is operated. That's why the teams that are so poorly run are always at the bottom, and the teams that are well run, generally speaking, are somewhere near the top. The Steelers don't have a good team, but they're somewhere near the top this year because they're a well-run organization. And the Jets can never get out of the basement, and same with Washington, because they're so poorly run. But the officiating in this sport is downright embarrassing. And I am scared to death that Jerome Boger's crew is going to screw up the Titans-Saints game just like they screwed up the Titans-Saints game last time. Because that's what Jerome Boger's crew does. And we saw it Monday night. That game was totally screwed up by Tony Corrente's crew. No way around it, right? Do you care who wins between the Steelers and the Bears?
Not really.
Ian, do you care who wins between the Steelers and the Bears?
I mean, I like to see the Steelers lose usually, but I don't really care.
I couldn't give two poops who lost that game last night. I don't care. I mean, but Matt Nagy's going to get fired over this now. You win that game and you're, 4-4 or whatever they would have been, and you win that game and all the, Fields brings them back, and it's Nagy's offense, and it's Nagy's 2 weeks away from getting fired. And, I mean, to have Tony Corrente be the reason why, that's what's driving me nuts. And this is embarrassing for the league. And this is the league that if you do something bad, it's how dare you embarrass the shield of the National Football League? But they're doing it to themselves every week with these terrible officials. I mean, I do think we're getting to the point now where we need a sky judge that is watching this game that can say, no, that was not roughing the passer on Aaron Donald. Bring it back. But, I mean, Vrabel was asked about explanations from the officials, and he was like, why don't y'all tweet at him? Which I thought was like Vrabel's backhanded way of basically saying, they ain't listening to me, guys. I mean, they stink. I know they stink. I can't say they stink because if I say they stink, I'm going to get fined. But they're not listening to me. And I don't think it's hard for me to look at the league right now and look at the refs they're putting out and think that the league really cares about this. You know, there are things that the NFL just doesn't care about. Like, I'll use player safety as an example. I don't think the NFL really cares about that. Because if they did, they wouldn't play games on Thursday night. But there's a lot of money involved in Thursday night, so they do. Or like practice or quality of play. I think we can all agree the quality of football has gone down over the last 10 years. And it's because they don't ever practice anymore. Because that's the chips in the collective bargaining agreement that the owners are okay with giving the players is, oh yeah, less off-season practice time, less mandatory time, less pads, no two-a-days. Because they don't care. It doesn't affect their bottom line to not have two-a-day practices, but it does affect the game. So the league doesn't care about that. And I'm convinced the league does not care about these officials. Because if they did, Jerome Boger, like Floyd said 2 years ago, would have been kicked out of the league and would not be reffing this game.
I went back to find the audio. It was pretty good.
Can we get a little bit of that in the next segment?
Sure.
Let's do that next. 615-737-1025 plus your calls. Your thoughts, again, the officiating last night in the Monday night game, Sunday night in the Titan game, some of which went in the Titans' favor, some of which didn't. And just in general, in the fact that the Titans have Jerome Boger this Sunday, what do you think? 615-737-1025, Stillman & Company. We will get to your phones and that audio, and we will do that coming up next. Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. A year ago, I moved with TriStar Moving, and it was the best decision that I think I ever made in the entire moving process. They made it so simple. That's why their motto is TriStar Movers with 5-star service. From the initial phone call to the final signature, moving was a breeze. They offer home protection covering your floors, banisters, railings, door jambs, and even the doors themselves. They are always upping the game when it comes to mover training. That's why they hold such a high standard, and their company is on the rise in a hurry. The owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians, and they care about helping their hometown. They hold a very high standard. So if you're looking to move, give them a call. 615-640-1219 or visit TriStar Moving's website, nashvillemoving.org/radio, where you'll get 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you, my official movers.
Titans on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Those guys played fantastic. It was fun to watch them play.
The Titans are the NFL's hottest team.
Big plays, big moments.
It's just incredible.
After consecutive wins against the Bills, Chiefs, Colts, and Rams.
Man, were they good.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
You're home for the best Titans coverage.
That is a team that is putting it all on the line.
They stepped up big time.
Is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Christmas shopping starts now at Electronic Express. Get huge savings on the hottest gifts with up to 50% off in every department. 4K TVs, computers and gaming, smart home, housewares, and more. That's not all. Get up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. We've got what you need this Christmas at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
More than 80% of hospitals and other healthcare employers are now looking to hire nurses holding a bachelor's degree. That's why Aspen University's 3-year accelerated and accredited BSN pre-licensure program is now enrolling with no wait list. Tuition and fees are less than $50,000 and transfer credits are accepted. Want to learn more? Just text STEP to 323232 right now. Most courses are online and you'll complete your clinicals within our collaborative network of healthcare providers. Plus, if you need more flexibility, we offer a nights and weekends program. Text STEP to 323232 right now. All clinical simulations and labs are delivered in person while following CDC guidelines for social distancing and masks. If you've thought about becoming a registered nurse, the time is now. Text STEP to 323232 to learn more today. Text the word STEP to 323232 right now. Text STEP to 323232. Total cost of the degree program will vary depending on the courses taken, transfer credits awarded, and fees incurred. Employment statistics are from the AAC and Research Brief, published in December 2020. Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Message and data rates may apply.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Fall is here, and that means the cold winds of winter are coming. It's a great time to replace those old, drafty windows. Pella is the leader in the industry for top-quality window and door products. But Pella windows and doors are also affordable, extremely affordable. Pella has payment plans less than $95 a month to replace your windows. So, I suggest you purchase your windows and doors from the experts at Pella of Nashville. Go to PellaofNashville.com.
Well, I started my own restaurant because I love to cook. But that also means a lot of greasy pots and pans. And we can't waste time with endless sink changeovers. So we upgraded to Dawn Professional Pot and Pan.
Dawn Professional cleans 58% more pots and pans per sink than the leading competitor.
Less dish soap, fewer changeovers, and more time doing what we love.
Dawn Professional. It's clean. Upgraded. From P&G Professional.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Inquire with the league as to why there was no... I was on a plane. I didn't inquire with the league. I asked you guys to tweet at him. If you didn't, that's your fault. I'm not calling the league. I'm not going to get into this. Okay, but does it seem odd that there was no official announcement that... The correction? Correct. Correct. I don't know. Maybe it's happened before. It's never happened personally to me before, right? So I don't know. I don't have anything to go by, right? I don't know what the protocol is when they change something. Do they? Oh yeah, we changed it. Okay, well let somebody else know so that I don't want to be the guy. I'm just trying to follow the rules and say, hey, that's what it is. But no, you'd have to ask what the protocol is when they change a penalty to something else.
That was Vrabel yesterday. I mean, this is how I decoded that message from Vrabel. Guys, they suck, and they're not going to do anything about it. Like, look, hey, has that ever happened, like, where they've changed in the middle of the game? No, but it'd be nice if they told somebody.
It just did.
Like, imagine if, like, on Sunday, Jerome Boger's crew, and they say, timeout, New Orleans. That is their third and final timeout. And then all of a sudden, they decide, no, we should have on the second timeout, we should have stopped the clock for an injury timeout instead, so we're not going to
get another
take
one
that.
back.
So all of a sudden, there's 2 minutes to go, and the scoreboard says no timeouts, and the Titans are running the ball, and they come out to take a kneel down, and it's timeout New Orleans. That'll be their third. Like, you're going to tell us? Because that's what happened on the Jalen Ramsey thing. And I think Jalen Ramsey should have been kicked out of the game. Mm-hmm. Not because they called it incorrectly, but because I think it was two taunting penalties.
It was two unnecessary roughness penalties. Unsportsmanlike conduct, excuse me.
And shouldn't Jalen Ramsey have been operating under the premise that he already had one unsportsmanlike conduct penalty because they already called the unsportsmanlike conduct?
Unless he knew something we didn't.
So Jerome Boger is reffing the game on Sunday, and he is terrible. And the last time the Titans played the Saints, he fits in right with these guys. Who did the game last Sunday? The Titan game. Who called that? I mean, that horrendous game.
I don't know.
Oh, it was so bad.
That was...
was it Matt Rogers?
What is his name?
I think it was Matt Rogers. He's a new one.
Spiro Dides?
No. I'm talking... No. That was Al Michaels who called the game. But I'm talking about who officiated the game. I think it's that Matt Rogers or whatever. I can't remember the guy's name. Matt Austin. I can't. They all come together for me. But unless they're really
Carl
bad,
Jeffers?
No. Jeffers is
I thought that was
Brad Rogers.
Titans at the Colts. Referee Carl Jeffers.
No. I'm talking about
I thought you meant Colts
this game. I'm talking about this game. Brad Rogers. He's terrible. I mean, he looked like he got right out of the bar and came and reffed the game. Hey, he's terrible.
I don't remember him with facial hair before.
Oh, man, he was awful. To your point, though, Cheffers sucked pretty bad 2 weeks ago against Indianapolis. And the league loves Cheffers. They love Cheffers. They love Bill Vinovich, who also sucks. They love Cleet Blakeman, who's terrible. And John Hussey, who I think is pretty good. Hussey, I think, is a good ref. So Boger is calling the game on Sunday. Then again, I thought Correnti was an okay ref coming in the game. 69 years old. Like, shouldn't there be an age cutoff to ref basketball and football?
Well, that would be ageist. But it seems
Why?
like there should be.
There's an age cutoff for the players.
Is there?
You ain't going to see no 69-year-old quarterback.
You might.
And
not that it's not allowed.
Okay.
I just don't know if there's any 69-year-olds out there who can play quarterback.
Encouraged for them to get the hell out at 69 years old?
Maybe.
I mean, you see these old guys running up and down the court with LeBron James in basketball. Like, get off the court.
There should be a physical aptitude test at some point.
Yes, or a vision test at least. I feel like any of them should go through a vision test.
I'm fine with baseball because all those guys do is eat, ho-hos and Twinkies and stand there at third base, and it's like,
you are more persistent about MLB umpires being fat than anything else.
Because it's sports. Get your ass
they're all
in shape.
just lazy fat bums.
They are. They really are at baseball. But it doesn't matter because almost every single thing that matters in baseball, they review every play anyways. It's like, was he out at first? I don't know.
I don't know. Was it a check swing? Nope.
But like
Dodgers, congratulations.
69 years old calling a football game. Like, come on.
I am not going to attack this man's age.
Oh, goodness gracious.
He may be a very youthful 69. We don't know.
So we got to hear what Floyd said. So Jerome Boger's called the game. I told you all that Boger ruined the game last time the Titans played the Saints. Why the NFL's putting him back on this game, I don't know. But every couple times a year, the Titans are going to end up with Jerome Boger, and we just have to suck it up. And luckily, it's an NFC game and not a game that matters. But this was Floyd 2 years ago after the Jerome Boger meltdown cost the Titans the game against the Saints.
The bottom line is that this guy needs to be out of the NFL. And I've never, ever said that about a ref or a crew. But this guy cannot ref in the NFL anymore. You cannot miss calls that are that obvious, that blatant, on a continual basis. I mean, we've been talking about him for he hasn't been in the playoffs since 2014 because and everybody makes the playoffs, over a period of a year or two. Well, they haven't made the playoffs. Why? Because they can't grade high enough. They are hated by everybody in the league, and we just can't. The integrity of the officiating group is at stake here. Whoever's going to be in charge of the officials, your reputation's on the line. I mean, if you're keeping people like this around, it's a disservice to the NFL. It's a disservice to the fan base. It's a disservice to the players. Everybody. I mean, it's just got to go. They got to go.
I mean, I heard that, and I'm sitting there at Pete and Terry's when he said this, and like, come on now, we all know Floyd. Like,
he was fired up right there.
That right there, it is ruining the integrity of the game. Like, that is...
Those are some strong words.
That is a Mike Florio Pro Football Talk article waiting to happen. Like, right there. Like him saying, former Titans GM Floyd Reese says, just going off about Boger. And that's who's calling the game Sunday. So there you go. Let's go to your phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Wayne is up next on the refs. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Wayne.
Hey, Jared. Thanks for taking my call, brother. I agree with you that there needs to be an age mandate or at least some kind of, hey, guys, these people are 21, 22 years old. Here's what they do. Don't be the old man, get off my lawn type person. With that said, Coach Jared, tell me are the Titans going to have a meeting this week? Okay, Jerome Boger's calling the game. We need to deal with this, and this on top of the New Orleans Saints.
Yes, they do that. Thank you for your call, Wayne. They do that every game where they will take that crew and they will say, this crew throws the most amount of holding penalties. So you have to make sure that you're not doing this. Or this crew calls the most illegal hands to the face. So you got to make sure to do this instead. Like the Titans do that every week. They scout the refs, not as much as they scout the other team, but they do, in fact, scout the refs. And that will be a part of this discussion. And Boger's crew throws a lot of flags. Titans lost a game at Miami 3 years ago where Derrick Henry at the end of the game broke like a 74-yard touchdown run, and Boger's crew called a holding and brought it back, and they showed the replay, and there was no holding.
I just don't understand how you can be so blatantly bad at your job for so long. Like Floyd saying he hadn't called a playoff game since 2014. How can you be that bad at your job for so long and still have a job?
I don't know. I don't even know.
I was thinking about that. Like, maybe nobody wants to be an NFL ref. Like, is the scrutiny and all that too much? Like, why aren't they not full-time at this point?
It's $200,000 a year, though, to not be full-time. Like, Ed Hockenly was a lawyer and made more than $200,000 a year, saying holding offense. I mean, I think there probably is like a officiating pipeline problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because no one wants to ref like high school, and that's where they get a lot of these refs from is high school.
Right.
But, I mean, I think it's terrible. Let's go to Joe, who's up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, guys, thanks for taking my call. Hey, you know what? If they're looking for refs, I'll be one. Just as long as I can ref the Titans game, I'll make sure I'll be better than Bogus for sure. But I wanted to ask you something.
Sure.
Man, I would, man. I tell you what, I can call these games better than that crew, and I'm not a professional ref, and I don't know the rule book like they do. But I mean, if it's not impacting the play, you don't call it. But that's my stance on it. But anyway, I have a question for you, Jared. This next game with the Saints, we've got a stretch here where you could argue that the Titans have a pretty easy schedule, give or take a few games there. I'm wondering, because of how banged up we are, would it be a good decision to kind of rest some players? I mean, I'm not saying take some games off, but what I'm saying is just
Joe, I hear you. Joe, I hear you, and I appreciate your call. The number one seed is so important. Thank you for your call. The number one seed is so important, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Adam's up next on Josh Reynolds. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Adam.
Man, I missed the first part, so forgive me if you've covered it, but why does he come out of a 7-2 football team and beg for a trade right now?
Talking about Josh Reynolds?
Yeah, that's so frustrating, man. Like, we already have receiver issues, right? Can't keep Julio on the field. I don't know who Marcus Johnson or Rod. I mean, who do you throw to after that? Reynolds could have been a part. It's obviously something to do with him, and so I don't understand why you would just do that to your team right now.
I appreciate your call, Adam. I think he just wants to play. Like, he's not even active on game day.
I don't know Josh Reynolds' snap count right now, but I cannot imagine that it's incredibly high.
I am not. I mean, he's inactive almost every other game.
And that's what he came out of the Rams wanting to be, that number 2 guy. He did not want to be a slot guy anymore. He did not want to be far in the depth chart anymore.
I would not equate this to like Rashard Matthews quitting the team a couple years ago, where he was just like, nope, I want my starting spot or I'm gone. Like, I think Reynolds, was trying to make it work, and he felt like probably the team didn't do what they were supposed to do, and that's why he asked for a trade and a release, and I'm not even sure I care that much, honestly. Like, I love Adam. I'm not sure I would have held that long to ask a Josh Reynolds question because I don't even think I care that much about Josh Reynolds being released. It didn't work out. It was a bad signing. They didn't lose any money off of it, so it's not that big of a deal. It's not like Clowney or Beasley or some of these ridiculous signings, but it certainly, did not help. Hal Gill, Predators making some roster moves on that front. What does he think? We'll get Hal's thoughts on the Predators, and we will do that coming up next. Predators back on the road. So we'll check in with Hal as they finish up that CMA road trip, and they get back home this weekend so people can be excited about that. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. They're proud supporters of the Nashville Predators. You see that logo right there on that ice, and they're proud supporters of the Tennessee Volunteers and the Vanderbilt Commodores as well. I use Hiller at my home, and I absolutely love it, and I will never go back to using anybody else because Hiller does such a good job when it comes to taking great care of my home. Also, you've seen all of the inventory shortages and empty shelves everywhere, and now there are serious shortages on equipment and products for your home. HVAC systems, tankless water heaters, and generators are going to be extremely limited in 2022. If you need a replacement, call our friends at Hiller today. Don't wait until you're out of options. Hiller has special financing available. Buy now and pay nothing until next year. Our work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or services-free guarantee, and you can learn more at happyhiller.com. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, I'm Matthias Ekholm, and this is Smashville.
Ekholm, his shot, he scores! Matthias Ekholm gets the Predators' third of the night.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey Nashville, looking to spruce up your home for the holidays? Social Furniture on the West Side has you covered. They're packed with items you can either take home with you or have them delivered to you the same day. You've heard of inventory shortages? Well, not at Social Furniture. At Social Furniture, you can get your new furniture today. Yes, the same day. For instance, take this designer leather sectional. For not $3,000, it's only $1,299 with today's delivery. At Social Furniture, the savings are huge out there. They're located on the West Side, 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road. Maybe you need some chairs for your table, or you have guests for the holidays and need furniture fast. Well, you can find it all at Social Furniture. They have thousands of combinations to choose from, and they'll deliver today. And guess what? The best thing is you don't have to pay today. You can take 12 months to pay with no interest. So load up the family and come to Social Furniture today on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville.
Your home value is way up. Why not use it to make your home even nicer with a new kitchen or bathroom? Hey, Willie here. So many of our listeners are doing this with Loan Pronto, thanks to their zero-cost cash-out refi program. Call Loan Pronto now. They're fast-tracking home refis for the year-end, and people are getting checks for 60, 70, 100 grand or more. It's fast and easy. It's your money, money you can use to add even more value to your home. Imagine 2022 with that all-new luxurious kitchen you've been dreaming about. Or start building that pool so it's going to be ready for the summer. Call Loan Pronto now. See how easy it is to use the equity in your home and walk away with the big check. They can even pay your closing costs, and you can skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, CraneWorks. The CraneWorks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give CraneWorks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call CraneWorks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Hey Nashville, Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here, inviting you to tune in on ESPN 94.9 every Monday at 6 p.m. for the Commodore Hour, providing you with exclusive insights on Vanderbilt athletics.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The CMA Awards are tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena, which means the CMA road trip is going on, and that is, in fact, where the Predators find themselves as I was kind of surprised. I'm like, it's Tuesday. I'm wanting to watch some hockey tonight. I guess I'm going to watch basketball because there's no hockey. Predators tomorrow night against the Dallas Stars. So we should be very excited about that. And in Dallas right now, Hal Gill joins us on the program. Hal, appreciate it. First of all, it's weird you being back on the road. Last time I feel like we talked to you on the road was when you were about to leave Montreal or Toronto or wherever you were to come back because everything was shutting down. So it's good to talk to you on the road, Hal.
I know. It's nice to be on the road. It's nice to get out and be around the guys and kind of live the life that they're living. You know, it's a lot easier to get inside the mind of an athlete when you're seeing what they're going through. So, and it's also nice to go to different cities and enjoy life.
Hal, we have talked about your 10-game line of demarcation. We almost kind of treat it as scripture around here, that once a team is 10 games through, it's like, okay, now Hal Gill says this is when you can decide what kind of team you have. I look at the Predators right now. I mean, the Predators are essentially a 500 club right now, but I feel like they play hard every night. I think the first line that a lot of people had their doubts about, maybe still do have some doubts about, they have played pretty well. Now, Forsberg's hurt. The goalie has been excellent, but it just kind of feels like something is missing. I'm not sure what to put my finger on. What would you say?
I agree. If you have Duchesne scoring goals, getting points, that's big. You have Johansson playing well. Those are the big, come on, guys, we need you. And I think you're getting that. You're getting that production. The higher-end guys, the guys that you're counting on are playing well. I think the thing that we're looking at right now is about patience, right? You have these young guys Tomasino and Tolvanen, and you're saying, okay, are they showing us something that we can build on? Maybe we're around 500 right now, but as these guys get confident and grow their games, then, we should be able to pick up the slack and start rolling. So I think the defensive structure is there. I feel like everything is kind of coming. Of course, Juice has been fantastic. He's unreal. So that's an exciting little tidbit. He notoriously a slow starter, but he doesn't look like he's slow now. And if he can ramp up even more, how great would that be? So I think there's reasons to be optimistic. I think the thing you're missing is those young guys, and those young guys really producing and having confidence and making plays every night. So I think that's what we're waiting on.
So you played with young guys before, all throughout your career in all different spots. I mean, you played with Roman Josi when he was a young guy. How much of this is, hey, just keep those guys out there, and those guys eventually will produce, and you can see it in their game, and how much of it is, hey, this is the NHL, and there are expectations?
Yeah, you know what? I always look at it as a defensive game. That's really the thing that separates. There's a lot of young talent and great players that you look around and you say, okay, that guy's got a ton of skill, but they got to learn the defensive game. And I look at Dante Fabro as an example. He came in and he was kind of, he didn't really know what he was doing. He just came in and played great hockey. And then he had a down year, had an injury, had to learn how to play through an injury, and then kind of learned his game, and now he looks fantastic. And then you look at Carrier, who's never really confident in the NHL and played some games, and now he's playing confident and feels more comfortable in the NHL game, and he's having a ton of success. So I think you just have to wait until that confidence gets there. Now, the hard part is, how do you get confidence without playing well? How do you play well without confidence? That's the balancing act that these guys are dealing with. But it just takes time, and it takes patience.
When you look at the standings, the Predators are right there in the middle right now. It's really early, but it kind of feels like they're probably where they belong. They're not as bad as the bad teams in the Central Division, especially, the Coyotes and the Blackhawks and things like that. But they're obviously not going to be as good as the top teams in this division, we would assume, this year. I do wonder this, though. What do you think is kind of their potential this season, and have they played up to it yet?
Yeah, that's the fun part, is that if you do get Tolvanen, Tolvanen's getting scoring chances. If he starts scoring goals, now you're winning a lot more games with just him starting to feel a little more comfortable. And so you look at Tomasino, kind of the same thing. I think you have a good mix of heavy players. Olivier getting called up, McCarron getting called up, but also Jeannot and Trennan are playing well. They're playing good hockey and killing penalties and doing whatever it takes to win games. But they do have an offensive upside and have some output. Now, if they start clicking along, I feel like this team can take it over the top. And so that's the exciting part for me.
Hal Gill is with us here on the program. Hal, Philip Forsberg heads to IR, and I read an article from Adam Vingan in The Athletic where he was asked about, the Forsberg contract situation, and put yourself in the shoes of both the team and the player. And we know Forsberg's contract is up, and I think Forsberg, when he said, hey, I'm playing out my contract and we'll see from there, it felt like all of his interviews have been very business-like. Whenever he answers something is almost like, hey, I'm not giving anybody any leverage on anything. And I understand it. I get it. But now he's hurt. And I do wonder if the Predators should be scared a little bit as well if they can't get a deal with Forsberg and then they want to try to trade him later in the year, but he's hurt. How much would you get worried that this asset could get damaged when you absolutely positively cannot let Philip Forsberg walk out the door for nothing?
Yeah, that's the hard part about a contract year is, do I want to just settle this and get a deal and then I don't have to worry about it? But you also want to prove yourself, right? As a player, you want to go out, have the best year you ever had, and put it over the top and make all that money. And I feel like for Forsberg, he was playing some pretty good hockey. He's a sniper. So if he can start scoring goals and go on a heater, that makes for a better contract. But it also, you put yourself at risk at getting injured. And so you go out and buy a bunch of disability insurance and say, hey, if I can't produce the way I was and I'm injured, then I can back up my contract. But it's a delicate balance. And for the team, it's the same thing. Maybe you give the guy a little bit more money so he doesn't have to worry about it, and then you don't have to worry about injuries. But that's all goes into how to do it. Contract negotiation. I just think it's tough for both sides, and in the end, a healthy Philip Forsberg is better for everyone. So it's still early in the season. Let him heal, let him get right, and then get back at it. But it's definitely an area of concern. But I understand what Phil is doing. Like, he doesn't want to talk about it. He wants to just go about his business and hopefully get healthy and play some good hockey and then earn the big money.
Hal Gill, as always, he'll be on the call tomorrow night in Dallas. Harold, we appreciate it. Get back to bag chucking for us.
All right, I will do. Hey, Caroline, I miss you.
Hey, Hal, good to hear from you. Hope you have a safe trip home.
It's good talking with you. Maybe
it's been
we'll
great.
Have a conversation.
Glad we got to catch up.
The whole gang says hi.
Appreciate you guys. We'll see you and hear all of you tomorrow night as well. Hal Gill joining us on the program. I don't plan on taking any Tuesdays off anytime soon, so I just don't know if you and Hal will get to have your one-on-one, in-depth one-on-one with Hal Gill.
Well, Hal and I can just go, hang out elsewhere. We'll, grab drinks or something.
Oh, he's great at that.
Yeah.
He is great at that. You worried about Forsberg getting hurt?
I am for multiple reasons. Obviously not having the presence of Philip Forsberg on the ice is
I don't care
something
about that.
I care about his trade value. That was the first thing that I thought of when I saw Philip Forsberg injury is what can the Predators get in return if they do decide to turn to the trade market with Philip Forsberg?
So I have a pretty good idea of what it is with Forsberg, and I'm not overly concerned right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it is one of those things that normally you would not be concerned, but it could be a concern if it is what I think it is.
Right.
Yeah, I probably would have pulled the trigger before the start of the season.
And that's going into the season, that's exactly what we both said. Is you have to be, you have to be cognizant of the fact that his trade value could go significantly down if he is injured.
Then again, David Poile hasn't done something that I've liked in 5 years. And most of the time it doesn't work, but it has worked. Like the Tanner Jeannot thing right now looks like it's working out.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them, maybe it works out in the right way. Some of them, doesn't. And, that's kind of where we are. But, let's say something, knock on wood, something happens to Forsberg and his trade value. He gets a Jones fracture. And,
no, I can't do any more Jones fractures or hamstrings.
Yes. Something like that happens to him, and he's walking out the door. Now, it's going to hurt his value, too. But he's walking out the door, and you're getting nothing in return, and that's just not acceptable. Coming up next, basketball starts tonight, I guess. We'll have to bet basketball, right? What else is on TV?
There's a few college football games. I think we've
Tuesday,
got Akron.
We've
got Akron tonight, if you'd like to put some money on Akron. Go Zips.
Goodness. Caroline's coming up. Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game. Hey, check out Nashville's best deals. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals where we've got the best deals for you. This deal of the week is a $30 gift card for only $15 to the Beanbag Coffee and Tea Shop. It's a community coffee and tea shop that offers a variety of coffee flavors and shine-worthy teas. The Beanbag is a great place to have a meeting while sipping on a cup of hot or cold coffee or tea. Enjoy a delicious breakfast sandwich, cheddar broccoli soup, turkey sandwiches, and more. Get your deal now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Mainly clear and chilly as we head into the overnight tonight as temperatures drop back to the low 40s. Another nice day on tap for Wednesday. Partly sunny with highs around 70. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics is conveniently located where you live and work. With over 10 locations in Nashville and surrounding communities, Houston physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, as well as many other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they are strictly adhering to all CDC guidelines for both their patients and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and to see a list of all Houston physicians and specialties, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Hey, it's Jared. Your body needs water. That doesn't mean it has to be boring. And I'm here to tell you to give Focus a try. Focus is a sparkling water with a spark. It's infused with a boost of natural tea caffeine so you get clean energy without sugar, calories, or crash. Go to drinkfocus.com to find the full lineup of flavors and get them delivered right to your door. Enter promo code GAME at checkout for 15% off your first order. Focus is also available at your local Publix. That's Focus, P-H-O-C-U-S, on the web at drinkfocus.com.
Lowe's Provember event is back, and we're thanking pros like you all month long with buy one, get one free deals on select DeWalt power tools and top values like a Spider 2-pack of 4.5-inch diamond cutoff wheels for $14.98. Join us for Provember, going on now through November 24th. Shop in-store or at lowes.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. While supplies last, U.S. only, valid 10/28 through 11/24.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as the Predators take on the Dallas Stars Wednesday the 10th. Puck drops at 7:30, but the party starts at 7 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
What's up, everybody? This is Teron Davenport, and I am here to tell you about Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire service. New tires, rotating, balancing, flat repair, torquing, they do it all. I can tell you this from personal experience. Just a couple weeks ago, I was at the Titans facility. They came there and changed my tires, all 4 of them. They did an excellent job. My car is riding extra smooth now. If you're in need of tire service, be sure to check them out at freedomtireguys.com. You don't see the tires you want, they'll go ahead and get it for you.
Middle Tennessee football is back at Floyd Stadium Saturday, November 13th. Your Blue Raiders host the FIU Panthers for the 39th annual Salute to Veterans and Armed Forces game, with kickoff set at 2:30 p.m. Arrive early as there's a full day of events scheduled to honor and recognize veterans, current service members, and their families. There'll be various military vehicles placed around Floyd Stadium for fans to check out before the football game, along with special pregame and halftime shows to honor past and present service members. For a full list of activities, head to goblueraiders.com/salute. Stronger together inside Floyd Stadium. Go Blue!
I'm Brenda Connor, identity theft victim.
No, I'm Brenda Connor.
Too bad it's hard to tell which Brenda is real.
That's what you think. I've got LifeLock to monitor my info and alert me to potential identity threats. And if I become a victim, they help fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock can help protect what's mine. How about that, Brenda? Thought so.
Join LifeLock by Norton and save up to 25% off your first year at LifeLock.com with promo code NEWS.
Robbie Stanley.
That size and that speed just doesn't grow on trees. That could be something that you could really turn into.
Joe Rexrode.
Just hold out and somebody will call in the bad signal.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
We have a situation to discuss on the Stillman and Company program.
It's a serious situation that's been bugging me for the past 24 hours.
So, would you like to tell the people? Because I'm just looking at the picture right now.
And it's so disgusting.
So, would you like to tell the people?
I walk in my apartment last night, walk into my bathroom, and there is a mushroom growing out of the crack between my shower and the bathroom floor. A mushroom. And I live in a nice apartment. I pay good money to live where I live.
Do you?
I do.
Like, I'm looking at this mushroom and I'm like...
It's disgusting. It's a mushroom. I didn't even know they could grow inside.
This is freaking disgusting.
Right?
This is freaking
Like,
gross.
I called my mom. I said, I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. And she was like, well, put a cup over it so you don't touch it. I was like, if you think that I'm going to come eat anywhere close to touching that thing, you're out of your mind. I don't need a cup.
I've never seen a mushroom grow inside before.
Isn't that disgusting?
Like, that is...
So maintenance has been taking care of it today, I hope.
I mean...
Like, I didn't think I was going to be able to sleep there. I was fully prepared to get a hotel room. I didn't think I was going to be able to sleep there last night.
My goodness. Goodness gracious. Just a mushroom growing out of the bottom of the shower.
And I did a bunch of research on it, and the first article said, now be careful about eating it. I said, what?
Might be one of those magic
world?
mushrooms.
Maybe. It could be good news.
Well, when you told me the story like an hour ago, and you were like, so I walk into my bathroom and there's a mushroom, I was thinking you were talking about like somebody went into your bathroom and like left like,
no, people
what
aren't
those kids
spilling their
whatever.
Salisbury steak on my floor.
No, I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about, like those.
Oh, like psychedelic mushrooms?
The ones, yeah. I mean, I've never done that before, but I know people do.
I have drugs just sitting on my bathroom
floor. I don't know. When you said it was a mushroom, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Literally.
And then you showed me that, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like an actual mushroom.
There's a fungi in my room.
Bottom of the shower of Caroline's house.
It's like I've been sweating perpetually for the past 24 hours about
I don't
how
think it would bother me
disgusting
that
is.
much, but it does bother me.
It's a mushroom in my house.
Where you shower.
Where I shower.
Where
I
you walk
will
with no
never be
shoes
clean
and
again.
feet and
I will
socks
never
or
be clean
whatever.
again. I will never not wear shoes in there again.
So I'm sure the morning show will cover enough basketball tomorrow for everybody, but there's really nothing else to watch tonight. So it's time now for
College
Caroline's.
basketball.
Get in on the action. Put the money on the mahogany. What's on tap on the sports books? It's time to break it all down with Caroline's. Here on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Will another mushroom grow at Caroline's house? The odds are plus 200 on them.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say when I moved into my apartment, I probably would have said over under mushrooms, 0.5, probably would have taken the under. Would have lost money on that one. But if I get another one, they'll be hearing from me.
And there's like no other plantage that's growing. It's just one.
It's one
little mushroom.
Single mushroom.
Basketball.
Tennessee plays tonight. Tennessee UT Martin. The spread here is 35. 35. I think the Vols can do it, but will they is the question. I am going to take Tennessee minus 35. UT Martin last year, 8-16 overall, 6-14 conference record. The Vols have a ton of familiar faces coming back. Victor Bailey, John Fulkerson, Josiah Jordan-James. They've got a bunch of big names coming in as well. Kennedy Chandler, the highest rated point guard coming out of high school. Jonas Aidoo, who is like 1 million feet tall. So I'm going to take the Vols minus 35 here.
Tonight, the Champions Classic, Kansas, number 3 in the country. They're only a 4.5-point favorite against Michigan State. I'm going to load up on that one because Michigan State's unranked. Duke and Kentucky tonight. Duke's a 3-point favorite. I'll take Kentucky, even though they're the lower-ranked team. I think Coach K is starting to mail it in. So I think Kentucky will get the better of them.
I'm going to take Duke tonight. Kentucky didn't impress me last season.
And I think they almost lost to some bum team in their little exhibition last week, but
they did.
I'm sure the morning show will. I'm sure the morning show will have the game tape broken down tomorrow.
Joe Rexroad, basketball guy.
Joe just way into it. That's it for us. We're out of here. ESPN Radio coming up next. Penalty Box Radio comes your way at 7, and that Champions Classic Duke and Kentucky starts at 8. That's it. We're out of here. We'll see